Riding on a school bus is the safest form of transportation in America. But occasionally things do go wrong, and one day you may be required to evacuate your school bus, and do so in less than 2 minutes. In the first part of this video, we will introduce basic guidelines and procedures for school bus evacuation. In part 2, we will review procedures for the emergency evacuation drill. In order to successfully evacuate your bus in an emergency situation, you must be prepared. Preparing for an evacuation includes being familiar with your safety equipment, understanding some basic evacuation guidelines, and creating an evacuation plan. Let's start with a pre-trip inspection of your safety equipment. Part of your pre-trip inspection is to make sure all of the safety equipment is present and functions properly. You should be familiar with how all of this equipment works. Let's take a look at the safety equipment on a school bus. This is Rick, and he will guide us through the pre-trip inspection of the safety equipment.
Your doors are your first route of escape during evacuation. Make sure that they open and close properly. If it has an emergency release, make sure that works properly too. As you open each emergency door, make sure that the warning buzzer comes on. Make sure that all signs around the emergency doors are in place. Do the same with all the window exits. Check the roof hatches too. Pull out your fire extinguisher and check the gauge to make sure that the needle is in the green area. Check the inspection tag to make sure it's been inspected recently. And finally, give it a shake. That loosens up the powder on the bottom of the fire extinguisher. Open up the first aid kit and make sure that it has all the proper supplies in it. Do the same with the body fluid cleanup kit. Some districts put a seal on their body fluid cleanup kit or on their first aid kit. If that seal has been broken, then the kits may need to be resupplied. You should have 3 emergency reflectors. Make sure they're all there and in good working shape. The seatbelt cutter should be easily accessible in the driver's area. If there's a monitor right in the bus, there should be a second seatbelt cutter available.
In addition to knowing your safety equipment, you should understand the basics of the school bus components so you can better assess the seriousness of the situation. And you'll be able to more effectively communicate with dispatch and emergency personnel when reporting the situation. Next, let's look at some basic guidelines for evacuation. All school buses must provide at least 2 routes of escape. Drivers must be trained in the 2 evacuation routes and on how to operate the emergency doors and windows. And don't forget that the windshield and windows can be pushed out in some buses. Many emergencies only allow 2 minutes to evacuate the bus before serious injury occurs to the students. The first thing to remember is not to panic.
Hey, whoa!
Panic is an untrained response to an emergency, and when you panic, you cannot respond appropriately to the situation.
You don't hear what I'm saying, do you? Can you sit down now?
You can improve your response